Thursday. It's time to do the sweater quilt along. I think I'm gonna have to adjust my camera slightly because this is a little too high, but that's okay. So today we are putting together our sweater blocks. I have a very cute little sample here. Ta-da! So we're gonna end up with 13 of these at the end of this week. And to start with, actually, I'm happy I have this. I'm going to turn everybody over here slightly. So there's my cutting table, and you can see I've laid out all of my pieces. I've got my Post-it notes on them. Hello! We are talking about making the favorite sweater quilt. That little guy right there. So I have all of my pieces, the body pieces, the arm pieces laid out. I've got all of the bases. I gave them those letters and I had my Post-it notes on them. We talked about that last week. I have my background. I didn't cut all of my background. I only cut what I needed for this block today. And I'm starting to play around with combinations and what sort of looks good together. And then once I get all these blocks together, I'm going to lay them out and see. Having a design wall at this point would really be helpful. I don't have one of those, to see what is going to look the best. And I'm going to actually get the pattern piece here. Hang on. So I can give everybody the correct measurements. So this pattern is a little sparse on directions. I think it assumes that you're an experienced quilter and you know what you're doing. The nice thing about this pattern is that none of these seams, let's take a look at the back of this. None of these seams have to align with another seam. So the neck seams are here. The arm seams are here, and then the body seam is here, and there's another seam here. So nothing has to join up, which means that you're less like, this is doing that thing, eh? You're less likely to have a spot where it looks off because none of the seams have to match each other. So, what we're going to talk about today is, and the instructions, I said they're a little sparse. They really only give very basic directions. So we're going to go through how to put these blocks together. And I'm going to adjust this down slightly. Is that the right one? That is not the right one. Sorry, bear with me here a moment, folks. This is the right one. There we go. So that you can see up my nose. No, please don't look up my nose. So here we go. Got my machine here. I'm set up. So I've set up my station here. I have my machine here. And then over here, what I've got is my pressing mat and my mini Oliso iron. I found that this is really helpful to have when you're piecing because you have to press after each seam. And the reason that you do this is that you need the seams to be flat so that when you're joining your piece together, things aren't going to look off. If you don't press, then you're going to end up with like a wavy piece. So we start by, I've got this upside down, we start by putting these two pieces together. You need to press this seam and then you attach this piece to this piece, and then you got to press this seam so that you can attach it to these pieces. And we'll get into that. But having the mini iron and the wool pressing mat here means that I don't have to get up and stop what I'm doing, and I can press as I'm going. The wool pressing mat really helps to hold the heat. So if you're going to do a lot of quilting, it is a great investment. We're going to do something called chain piecing. And actually, I'm going to back up before I get to that. Show you here. So if your machine has a 1/4 inch foot, so it looks like this, it's got a little edge to it. You're going to want to use this. It's going to help you keep a consistent 1/4 inch seam allowance. That is the seam allowance that we use with quilting. And what you do is you kind of butt the fabric right up against there, and that should be a 1/4 inch. You can measure it. Sometimes it's slightly off. To set up for quilting, I just use regular Metler thread from the store. If this was an heirloom piece, a gift, you could use Aurifil cotton thread. You get flatter seams. For me, it doesn't make a difference. Some people really do prefer the Aurifil. I know Michelle really likes Aurifil. And I've set my stitch length slightly smaller to 1.8. Because we don't backstitch, we want a smaller stitch that's going to help keep the block together. Chain piecing. So usually you would do this in like big long steps. To keep it short, I'm just going to do 2 blocks at once. So we're going to need all of the pieces for the blocks. And so that's the background pieces. My background is blue. That's the pieces that are 5.5 by 7.5 inches and 7.5 by 1 3/4 inches. You're going to need the sweater bodies. I lost what was supposed to go with this one. I think it was, there it is. The sweater bodies, which are the 8 by 6 1/4 pieces, the cuffs, which are 3 and 1 3/4 inches, the 2 of them, the collar, which is 4 and 1 3/4 inch, and then you'll need the contrast pieces, which are 8 by 4.5 inches, 3 by 4.5 inches, and 3 by 4.5 inches. So I'm going to grab the 2 sets of those that I have, and we're going to start by putting together the body pieces. Now you can clip these together. You don't have to. So what you would do if you were chain piecing is you would take all of your body pieces and all of your contrast piece, and you would do all 13 of them at the same time without stopping. So just like this. And now I've come to the end of this piece. I'm going to take my next piece and I'm just going to feed it into the machine. And I would keep just going like this. I'm not going to make you guys watch me sew 13 pieces of body fabric. That's kind of boring, but you get the idea. Let me know if you don't, and I can explain it in a different way. Now, I could keep chain piecing the other pieces that I'm going to be working on, but just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm not going to do that. So now you've got your body pieces, and we've got to give those an iron. We're going to iron to the dark side so that you don't see the seam allowance. So I'm ironing up towards the red here. You start with body and yoke. I don't know what it's called. Is it called yoke? Yes, you start with body and yoke. I start with body and yoke. You can really start anywhere, but and this is, like I said, because there's no seams that have to match each other, I could press up, I could press down, it doesn't really matter. And so now both of those are done. And then we're going to sew these fiddly long bits. So that you're going to need the piece that is the collar. That's the 4 by 3 and 1 3/4 inches. And so you're going to sew it, the short ends together to that 7.5 by 3 1/4 piece. And again, I'm chain piecing, so I'm going to do the other sweater. And normally, again, you would just, you would do all 13 of these. And you have to sew both sides. So what I would do after number 13 is I would come and cut my chain and then sew the other piece on. So you're going to end up with this very long strip. Let me know if anyone has any questions thus far. If you're watching this on the rewatch, not on our live, leave a question in the comments, and we do monitor everything. So now I've got these. This is that top band. I've got these very long pieces, and again, I'm going to press those seams. And I'm pressing without steam right now because these pieces are fairly narrow. Steam has a tendency to distort whatever it is that you're working on. And so I don't want that because I'm working with a very narrow piece. So I'm pressing without steam. And I like to press on the back first and then flip it over and press it again. And then the last part, this is the part that has the most pieces. So you're going to take the cuffs and attach them to the part of the yoke. So like this and like this. And we're going to make sure that we attach the right ones. Black. There. Okay. And we've got 4 of these. So again, you would normally do, if you double 13 is 26. So you would do all 26 of these in one go. Just feed them through the machine. And what this does is it saves you time because you're not stopping after every piece to start over again, basically. So here we go. So I've got all 4 of those. Snip all the threads in between. And then we're going to attach those to the bigger background pieces. And we press them all. I should make note. So if you looked closely at my sample block, it is wildly off. It is missing some inches on the bottom. I don't quite know what happened. I know that I cut a fair number of these pieces stacked, and the more you stack, the less accuracy you have. If you'll remember, I said last week that, accurate cutting leads to accurate piecing. So if you want really accurate cutting, don't stack your fabric. That said, you will now learn, because of how inaccurate mine are, how to fix that kind of mistake. It will be something that we do next week. And it's totally fixable. A finished quilt at 60 by 60 is never actually going to be 60 inches by 60 inches. It's probably more likely going to be 59 and 7/8 inches by 58 and 3/16. So we're going to attach these pieces now, the arm pieces, like this, and you have to make sure that you mirror your pieces, because one is going on one side and one is going on the other side, and you want those cuffs facing in the opposite direction. We're gonna do this, and again, we're going to chain piece these. And you can see it, how often I've had to, like stop and break to iron. Having the little mini iron sitting right next to me is just fantastic. I am very, very happy that I finally purchased one of these. They are well worth it. Okay, so again, make sure that your cuffs are facing in the right direction. And yeah, I can see these are very inaccurately cut. So we're going to end up with blocks of all different shapes and sizes, and we'll talk about how to deal with that next week when we put the blocks together. So far we've put the arms and the cuffs together. We've put the yoke and the body together, and we've put the collar together. So we've got to give these a press again. I'll just move you guys over here for a second. I'm going to push this down to the blue part. My two friends watching, have you done many quilts before? Is this a first quilt for you? Are you even sewing this quilt, or are you doing a different quilt and just looking for some tips and tricks? Do you have quilting questions? Let me know. I'm happy to answer them. You have my undivided attention right now. Or I guess it's a divided attention, but you have my attention. And a third friend has joined us. Oh no, they're gone. Okay, so we're going to take these little arm pieces. We're going to make sure that the cuffs are towards the outside, and we're going to attach the body of the sweater on both sides. And I absolutely 100, I'm not clipping because I don't feel the need to do it. But Wonder Clips are your friend. Just, pop them on there like so, and you're good to go. You're not going to poke yourself, and you're 100% not going to sew over those Wonder Clips because they're too big. So this is my fourth quilt. I had all the material for this one a year ago. Yes, good. I'm glad it's a kick in the pants to work on it. I've admired this quilt for a very long time. I really, really like it. It's super cute, and I'm Glad that someone else is as excited as I am to do it. And it's not, you can see, it's not a difficult sew. Like there's some quilts that require quite a bit of piecing, and this one does not have a ton, and it's not fiddly pieces either. So it's very good. I'm very happy with that. And I think I'm going to get I'm going to ask Magosha from Potty Mouth Quilting if she'll quilt this one for me, because we're coming into Christmas. Things are getting busy, and I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it, and then we'll put it up in the store for everyone to see. So again, if I was chain piecing, I'd just keep going, or I am chain piecing, and then turn around, you know, leave one piece on the machine so that I can put the second arm piece on. But yes, I'm only doing the 2 right now. And I do actually have a couple other blocks behind me that I was working on, but I ran out of bobbin thread. I'm out of bobbins, unfortunately. I would suggest with a project like this, any quilting project, garments less so. There's usually, you know, you can do a garment in one bobbin. Depends. Wind yourself a couple of bobbins at the start of it. It's going to mean that when you invariably run out of bobbin thread, you won't have to stop and slow down and wind yourself a bobbin. You'll have one that's ready to go. That's my tip for you. So yeah, I don't know if you can catch it. This is like very not straight at all. So what we will be doing next week is squaring up these blocks, and I will show you how to measure a block that's going to be a sort of non-standard size, and we're going to measure them all, find, you know, what's closest in measurement in terms of size between all of them, and then trim to that size. All right, so we've got the body and the arms of the sweater, and we just have to put that collar on the top right now. Look at how cute this looks. It is so cute. We are almost at the end of the night, at the end of this session. It's very, very quick. So if anybody has any additional questions, now I am, because of the length of this piece, I am going to put clips in this one. It's just a little bit longer, and it'll make it a little easier for me to sew. So one there, one there. Yeah, I see this is like, there, you can see that's not supposed to happen. That is not supposed to happen at all. So the little neck piece looks roughly centered. So I don't know what's going on here. If I just cut this, I was cutting quickly this afternoon before dinner. So I'm not quite certain what happened there. I'm just going to throw that over there for a second. And it's okay. I think that's what I would like the main takeaway from all of this to be, is that it's not a dire mistake. It can be fixed, and I will show everybody how to fix those kinds of mistakes. For now, we're just gonna, it's not impacting the construction of this quilt. So we're just going to sew it on as is. I don't have to, like, if it was somewhere, if I had like a block like in this part that was wildly off size, I would likely trim before I put those pieces together. But it's not, it's just on the edge. Yeah, all of these are wrong. I think I cut them a 1/4 inch too big. And hey, I'm going to do a little bit of cheating here because I have one more that I was working on. 2 more, actually. I don't get nearly as much time to sew as I would like these days. So I was trying to get together some blocks so that I'll have them all together for you by next week. And I was working before I came, and then my bobbin thread ran out. And then I was like, oh, it's almost 7 o'clock. I better get going here. So you get some bonus piecing at the end. I get some bonus piecing at the end. Ha ha ha. All right. Here we go. And I like to sew with the smaller piece on top. I find that it is more easy to maneuver it into position. I haven't been taught that there's a right or a wrong way, but I would say that in my experience, it's definitely easier to sew with the smaller piece on top. Here we go. I'm just making sure that, see, this seam is, I'm going to put my needle down. This seam has flipped into the opposite direction of where it was. I had pressed it in this direction and it had flipped this way. So I'm just making sure that it's flat. And no one's asked this question, but I will answer it because I'm sure someone is thinking it. Pressing open. So your quilt seams are stronger if you press them flat instead of pressing them open. Because there is no spot here where you have seams meeting each other and you need to reduce bulk, there's not a need to press your seams open. It takes longer, and then your quilt is not as strong. Not that it's gonna, you know, fall apart imminently, but it'll last longer if your seams are pressed to one side rather than open. So is it wrong to press your seams open? No. Is this the situation where you need to do it? Also no. And I hope that helps someone. And I've got, hey, one more bonus block here that I, you know, ran out of thread there. So I'm just going to shove that back into the machine. Not worry about back stitching. Make sure my seam is flat and finish this guy off. So by next week, everyone should have all 13 sweater blocks sewn. And there, look at how cute this is. It is so ridiculously cute. Yeah, you can see right there. That's gonna have to get trimmed. But for now, we just press it. I would recommend, if you do have a mini iron and you've been mini ironing, or if this is, you know, one of those things that you're going to do, I would go back and use the larger iron. After this, it's just a little bit heavier and we'll press those seams a little bit flatter. But look at that guy, he's so cute. So yes, finish up your blocks. Feel free to post a sneak if you're in the Facebook event or the social group. Feel free to post a sneak peek. I'd love to see what everyone's got so far. As I finish ironing up, it's the last call for questions or comments. And then I will see everybody next virtually. I won't see you. You'll see me next week at the same time on YouTube. And we'll talk about how to square these up and putting the top together. That is the next step. There we go. And in the interim, I guess my last comment for the night is you can absolutely play around with the order that you want these to lie in. So, you know, if you've got space, lay them out on the floor. If you've got a design wall, put them on your design wall, lay them out on your bed, lay them out on your kitchen table. Yeah. There we go. All right, folks, that is it. Have a fantastic Friday. If you're in Ottawa, enjoy the weekend. It is supposed to be beautiful, and we'll see you next week. Bye.